Today's mindful moment, packed with insights but designed to fit into your busy life. One deep dive at a time. All right, so buckle up, everyone, because we are going deep into the Star Wars universe today. Not the one you might be thinking of, though. We are going past the movies, exploring what happens after Return of the Jedi. You have given me some very interesting excerpts from Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire. This is the book that started the whole Thrawn trilogy.
What's so interesting is that everybody thinks the Empire's finished after the second Death Star blows up. But these excerpts show us it's much more complicated than that.
Absolutely. We're talking political scheming, hidden agendas, and characters with lots of secrets is anything but a happily ever after ending.
Exactly. The New Republic is starting to form. But inside of that, there are people fighting for power. And over all of that is the threat of what is left of the Imperial forces, including this mysterious Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We see Captain Pellaeon, who is Thrawn's right-hand man. He is totally convinced that the Empire is not finished. He even says they're using a new strategy, one that is very different from anything we've seen before.
It's not just talk either. Thrawn's tactics are different from anything the galaxy has seen. This is a guy who uses art and culture to learn about his enemies, to predict what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It's a really smart approach, but also kind of scary.
Yeah. And on the other side, we have Leia trying to create this new republic. But she is running into some serious problems, like from this counselor Phalia, who seems more interested in being powerful than uniting the galaxy.
And it's not just politics that is wearing Leia down. The excerpts show us that she is really lonely. Think about it. She is carrying the hopes of an entire galaxy, all while dealing with Han being gone all the time on missions.
It's a really good example of how even the strongest people have problems, and how being a leader can cost you personally. We see this with Leia's political troubles and with her relationship with Han. Even when he is around, they're both so busy that they don't really connect.
Absolutely. It reminds you that even with all the crazy stuff happening in the galaxy, people still need to connect with each other.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of Han, he is out there doing what he does best, navigating that shady world of smugglers. And we get introduced to Talon Karrde, a big player in the smuggling world. But it's not really clear whose side he is on.
Karrde is all about surviving, right? He is playing the long game, gathering information, waiting for the perfect time to do something. And in a galaxy where things are changing all the time, information is power. It makes you wonder what he knows and what side he will end up on.
Yeah. Even Lando, who used to be a smuggler himself, says that Karrde is obsessed with information, that it's the most important thing to him. It makes you wonder how he became such a big player in this world.
While Han is dealing with smugglers, we meet this character who is really mysterious. Mara Jade. She is strong with the Force, and she really hates Luke Skywalker. And there are hints she is connected to the Emperor. What do you think about her?
Honestly, she is like a wild card. We get these little hints about her past, her training with the Force, but the details are really vague. It definitely makes you want to know more, to find out what her real motives are. Is she a straight-up bad guy, or is there more to her story?
The excerpts are so good at giving you just enough information to make you curious. It's obvious that Mara Jade is going to be important to the story, but how exactly? Well, that remains to be seen.
I know, right? And then there's Chewbacca, who takes Leia to the Wookiee homeworld Kashyyyk. They are looking for a safe place. It's a short scene, but it reminds you that the Star Wars universe is really big and diverse. We see this really advanced Wookiee village that is built way up high. It's built into the branches of these giant trees.
It's such an amazing image. It shows how connected the Wookiees are to nature, but also how good they are with technology. It reminds you that there's a lot more to discover out there, beyond the planets and characters we see in the movies.
Yeah, exactly. And while Leia is finding a safe place with the Wookiees, we really get introduced to Grand Admiral Thrawn for the first time. And let me tell you, this guy knows how to make an entrance.
He does, doesn't he? There's this scene where he punishes one of his Imperial officers for messing up. And it is really creepy. He just points at the officer, and the guy drops dead. It never says how it happens. But you get the feeling that Thrawn's bodyguard, a Nogri named Rook, just takes care of it, quietly and quickly.
Right. It shows that Thrawn is a leader who everyone listens to. And it also brings in this whole other mystery, the Nogri. Who are they? Why are they so loyal to Thrawn?
The excerpts only give us hints about the Nogri, but it's clear they are more than just bodyguards. They seem like they are completely devoted to Thrawn. I have a feeling their story is going to be really interesting.
I think so too. Okay, so while all this is happening, Luke has his own problems. He goes to the planet Merc. and all of a sudden he can't use the Force. It's like something is blocking it.
This is a classic example of how authors who write stories in the expanded universe can shake things up, even for characters we all know like Luke. He's used to using the Force all the time, and now on this planet it doesn't work right. It makes you wonder what could be causing that. Karad mentions creatures called Cisalamiri. That, he says, are dangerous. But is there something more going on?
Oh, yeah. This is where things get really interesting. We find out later that Ysalamiri can create these bubbles where the Force just doesn't work. So are they just naturally on Merkur?
Mm-hmm.
Or is someone putting them there on purpose? And if so, why? It's a really cool mystery.
It makes you ask a lot of questions, doesn't it? It's a smart way to challenge Luke, to make him use other skills, and to hint at things going on that we don't totally understand yet.
Definitely. Now, Han and Lando are on the planet Athega, trying to relax with a game of sabacc. But of course, things don't stay simple for long, especially when Han Solo is involved.
That's putting it lightly. First, Lando thinks he recognizes Mara Jade from somewhere, but he can't remember where. It makes her even more mysterious, like she's had an even more complicated life than we thought.
That's right. And then Han gets accused of cheating by this weird character called the Reverend. Han manages to escape. But it all seems really suspicious. Who is this Reverend, and what is he up to?
It definitely adds another layer of intrigue to an already complicated story. Is he really just trying to help, or does he have some other plan? The excerpts keep us guessing, and that's part of what makes this time period in the Star Wars universe so interesting.
I agree. Okay, so back on Merkur, things get really intense. Mara Jade captures Luke, and she's not messing around. She even threatens to destroy R2-D2.
This is a big moment for them. Luke has to bargain for R2's life, and while they are talking, Mara reveals something huge. She used to be the Emperor's hand, a personal agent for Palpatine.
Whoa! That's a huge reveal. Explains why she hates Luke so much, and why she's so good with the Force. Clearly, she was really involved with the dark side. But is that all there is to her?
There are definitely hints that she's struggling with herself. She could have just killed Luke and R2-D2. But she doesn't. It seems like she's fighting with her past and trying to figure out what kind of future she can have.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Luke is in a tough spot with Mara Jade. And at the same time, Leia has an encounter that is just as confusing. She meets the leader of the Nogri, these fierce warriors, and she learns something shocking. They're incredibly loyal to Darth Vader.
Yeah, it really throws Leia for a loop, doesn't it? She just found out Vader was her father, and now she sees this proof of what he did in the past, of his complicated legacy. The Nogri leader, Kabarak, tells Leia that Vader saved their planet from being destroyed, which makes you wonder why Vader did that, and if he could have been good.
It's crazy. The expanded universe adds these layers of complexity that make us rethink everything we thought we knew about Star Wars.
Totally. It's not just good versus evil anymore. There are shades of gray. Characters who have complicated pasts and reasons for doing things. It makes the story so much better. It's amazing how the Nogris are loyal to Vader, someone we usually think of as a bad guy. It makes us rethink how he affected the galaxy. Could he have been good, or was he always just looking out for himself?
Yeah, it's something a lot of Star Wars fans think about.
Yeah.
And these excerpts don't really give us an answer, but they make us think about it. Back to Luke, though. He's still stuck on Merkur with Mara Jade.
And he's still having trouble using the Force. Because of those weird Ysalamiri, it's a real test for him.
He manages to escape, though, and it's pretty daring. He uses his lightsaber to create a distraction, to cause chaos. And while it's happening, he rescues Han Solo, who had been captured by the Imperials.
It's classic Luke Skywalker, using his Jedi skills and thinking fast, and maybe a little luck. He even figures out how to get around the Ysalamiri blocking the Force. It shows that he's learning and finding new ways to use his powers.
Yeah, it shows that even when the Force isn't working for him, Luke can still use his smarts and determination to succeed.
Oh, and speaking of smarts, Han has a moment to shine during this escape, too. Remember how he got captured in the first place? It turns out that one of the smugglers he was trying to recruit, this guy named Chin, had captured him thinking he was helping the Empire.
Oh yeah, Chin had no idea what he was getting into.
Exactly. And when he sees how badly the Imperials are treating their prisoners, he totally changes his mind. He ends up helping Han and Luke escape. He leads them right into the middle of an Imperial camp.
Wow. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. But this is where Han's experience and his knowledge of how the Empire works really comes in handy. He uses a trick he learned from a time he ran into Imperial tech before to help them get away. It proves that he's not just a lucky pilot. He's a good strategist, too.
It's a great example of how things you learn in the past, even things that seem small, can be really important when you don't expect it. It makes you wonder if there are things in our own lives that seem unimportant now, but that might be really helpful someday.
I like that. Okay, so Han and Luke are free, but their problems aren't over. Carter realizes that Thrawn isn't going to let this go.
Thrawn is a master strategist. He always seems to be a few steps ahead. Card knows that if they stay on Merkur, they'll be caught, so he decides to leave his base and run.
That's a big risk for him. He's basically giving up everything he's built to help the rebels.
It is. But it also shows that even someone like Card, who always looks out for number one, can be inspired to do the right thing. He understands how dangerous Thrawn is to the galaxy, and he's willing to make sacrifices to fight him.
It reminds you that even in a galaxy with criminals and smugglers, there are still people who will do what's right.
Absolutely, and those people can come from anywhere.
Okay, so they escape from Berkeress.
Yeah.
But they run straight into an Imperial attack, led by, you guessed it, Grand Admiral Thrawn.
And this is where you see how smart Thrawn is. He knows that Card is watching the battle. He knows Card can't resist getting information. It shows how well Thrawn understands his enemies, how he can predict what they'll do based on who they are.
Yeah, it's like he's playing chess, moving his pieces around the board, knowing what his opponent's going to do.
Exactly. And that's what makes him so dangerous. He's not just a military leader. He's a strategist, a psychologist, a master manipulator. He understands people. And he uses that to get what he wants.
And then just when you think things can't get any crazier, we get a glimpse of something really scary. These excerpts describe this powerful being, maybe a Sith Lord, who is having visions of the galaxy being destroyed, of Coruscant falling. It's a bad omen.
It's like a dark cloud hanging over the whole story. Even though the New Republic is trying to get started, we're reminded that there's still these powerful forces out there, hiding in the shadows, threatening to throw the galaxy back into chaos.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if this Sith Lord is connected to Mara Jade in some way.
It's definitely possible. I mean, she was trained in the dark side, and that stuff sticks with you. But it also makes you think about what's going to happen to Mara Jade. Will she give in to the dark side? Or will she find a way to break free?
Yeah, these excerpts show us that she's really torn. She can be really ruthless. But she also has moments where she shows kindness, like when she doesn't kill Luke, or when she helps him escape from the Imperials. It's hard to say what she'll end up doing.
That's one of the things that makes her such a great character. She's not just a bad guy, she's complicated. Her past has shaped her, but she can still make her own choices. You never really know what she's going to do next.
That's true. So what does all this mean for the galaxy? We have the New Republic trying to figure things out, the rest of the Empire led by Thrawn, and this possible Sith Lord hiding in the shadows. It feels like the stakes are really high.
Yeah, the galaxy is at a turning point. The old ways are gone, but the new ones are still weak. And with people like Thrawn and this mysterious dark side user out there, nobody knows what's going to happen.
And in the middle of all this chaos, you have Luke, Leia, and Han trying to survive. And fighting for a better future.
They represent hope for the galaxy. They don't give up. They keep fighting even when things are really bad. And their stories are what keep us interested. They remind us that even when things seem really dark, there's always a chance for things to get better.
These excerpts from Heir to the Empire have given us a taste of what this era in Star Wars is like. And it's a wild ride. Political plots, smugglers with secrets, Force users with grudges, a possible Sith Lord. It's got it all.
It really makes you rethink what you know about Star Wars. It adds new characters and conflicts that are just as good as anything in the movies.
If you're a Star Wars fan, you should definitely check out the Thrawn trilogy. These excerpts are just the beginning.
And if you want to learn even more, make sure you subscribe to The Deep Dive. We're always exploring new things, uncovering hidden truths, and sharing the most interesting things we find with you.
Don't forget to tell your friends, share the podcast, and maybe even buy a copy of Heir to the Empire. We'll put a link in the description. See you on the next Deep Dive.